The planet Zytheria hung in the black velvet of space like a jewel of green and blue. Its forests stretched for thousands of miles, and its rivers sparkled under the twin suns. Human settlers had arrived only months ago. Yet already signs of their industrious presence dotted the landscape: small towns, research stations, and experimental farms. The colony was alive with activity, every human moving with purpose, building, planting, exploring. From the skies above, a small, almost invisible craft drifted silently. Inside, an alien named Xylox observed the humans with fascination. Xylox belonged to the Quarii, a species known for logic and precision. They were highly intelligent but biologically rigid, unable to adapt quickly to new environments. The Quarii had visited many planets before, cataloging species and studying ecosystems. But humans were different. Humans were unpredictable. Xylox's compound eyes scanned the humans below. They were carrying strange devices strapped to their belts and shoulders. To Xylox, these devices appeared almost alive. They pulsed and grew in ways that defied explanation. Every time a human approached one, the device expanded slightly, as if responding to some invisible force. "Why does your breeding tool grow when you are near it?" Xylox whispered to themselves. It was a question that puzzled them endlessly. In Quarii culture, nothing grew or changed without precise chemical input or mechanical force. Yet these humans seemed to influence the growth simply by being near it. Xylox decided to observe more closely. From their hiding spot in the trees, they watched a small group of humans working together to clear an area of dense forest. Their tools, metal, plastic, and organic components combined, were nothing unusual in design. Yet the growth devices glowed faintly as they moved. When humans touched the soil, placed seeds, or spoke softly to each other, plants around them responded. Tiny shoots sprouted, leaves unfolded, and the ground seemed to bloom in real time. The humans laughed as they worked, exchanging words in a language Xylox could barely comprehend. They joked about how fast the crops were growing, unaware of the alien observer. Xylox marveled at something unusual. It wasn't just the device causing growth. The humans themselves seemed to have an effect. Their presence, their care, their attention, it all mattered. The device amplified what the humans were already doing, enhancing their natural abilities. Xylox had never seen anything like it. In Quarii science, technology followed rules strictly. Devices worked the same way every time, regardless of emotion or intent. Yet here, the humans' thoughts, their emotions, even their teamwork, seemed to matter. Xylox felt a mixture of admiration and confusion. How could such an illogical species accomplish so much with so little structure? Meanwhile, the humans continued their work. One of them, a tall woman named Amara, knelt to inspect a young plant sprouting near her feet. She whispered encouragements, and the small seedling grew faster, leaves opening toward her like tiny hands reaching for the sun. Another human, a man named Joran, adjusted the device on his belt. He scratched his head thoughtfully, muttering, Maybe it needs a bit more water." Almost instantly, nearby plants seemed to lean toward him, as if sensing the moisture he provided. Xylox's multiple eyes widened. Could humans communicate with technology and nature simultaneously? Was this some kind of symbiotic link, or was it something far more remarkable? For hours, Xylox observed, humans worked together seamlessly, improvising tools and solutions with creativity that the Quarii could hardly imagine. When a small landslide threatened to wash away one of the experimental farms, Amara and Joran quickly redirected a stream using pieces of metal and plant fiber. They moved with purpose and cooperation, and the growth devices responded, stabilizing the soil as new shoots took root almost instantly. Such efficiency, yet such unpredictability, Xylox murmured. In Quarii thought, efficiency was measured in calculations and probabilities. Predictability was prized above all else. But humans thrived precisely because they were unpredictable. Their minds could see possibilities, their hearts could motivate, and their hands could execute. It was a combination the Quarii had never achieved. As night fell on Zetheria, the twin moons cast silver light across the human colony. Fires flickered in the distance, marking small villages and camps. Xylox retreated to the forest canopy, perching on a thick branch to rest. They replayed the day's observations in their mind, reviewing data collected through their instruments. The humans had not only survived on this strange, alien world, they had begun to thrive. Their crops were growing, their shelters were sturdy, and their morale remained high. Xylox realized something extraordinary. Humans were not just adapting to Zetheria, they were enhancing it. The planet itself seemed to respond to human ingenuity. Plants grew faster, soil stabilized, and local animals appeared less skittish around the settlers. Humans brought balance, not destruction. In every quarry mission to alien worlds, such harmony was rare. Most species merely adapted or struggled, but humans actively improved their surroundings. Curiosity gnawed at Xylox. They had studied countless species across countless planets, but none combined intelligence, empathy, and creativity like humans. Quarry logic could never fully predict human behavior, yet humans consistently achieved what seemed impossible. The next morning, Xylox decided to observe more closely. They disguised themselves in the shadows of a nearby hill and watched as humans continued their daily routines. Amara and Joran were joined by a small team, planting new crops in an area previously deemed barren. The humans worked with precision, yet their approach was entirely organic. They experimented freely, guided by instinct, observation, and a sense of care. Again, the devices pulsed and expanded. Xylox noticed a pattern. The more humans cared for the plants, the more the devices amplified growth. But if a human became frustrated or inattentive, the device slowed or shrank slightly. Emotional energy influenced technology, a concept alien to the quarry. Could this be empathy-based technology? Xylox whispered to themselves. The very idea was revolutionary. In Quarry society, technology was purely mechanical or chemical. Emotional input was irrelevant, often even discouraged. Yet here, emotion was the key to success. Xylox followed the humans as they moved through the terrain. They discovered small acts of ingenuity everywhere, using vines as pulleys, creating natural irrigation channels, and even training local animals to assist with planting. Every action was thoughtful, every solution creative. Humans were problem solvers, not by rule or formula, but by instinct and observation combined with intelligence. By the end of the day, Xylox realized the truth. Humans were extraordinary because they combined mind, heart, and hand in ways that no other species could. Their devices, their tools, even their surroundings responded to them because humans themselves were catalysts of growth, innovation, and life. For the first time in their life, Xylox felt a new emotion, something between awe and respect. They had seen great civilizations, studied brilliant species, and catalogued innumerable ecosystems. But humans were something else entirely. Humans did not merely survive. They improved, adapted, and inspired. As Xylox retreated to their hidden perch for the night, they made a silent vow. They would continue to study humans, not to control them, not to predict them, but to understand them. There was a lesson here, one that could reshape quarry science and philosophy forever. And somewhere deep inside, Xylox knew that this was only the beginning. Humans were not merely another species in the galaxy, they were a force of nature, unstoppable, unpredictable, and remarkable in ways no one had ever seen. The morning sun rose over Zetheria, casting golden light on the human colony. Birds with shimmering feathers flitted between trees, and the air smelled of fresh soil and growing plants. Humans were already awake, moving through the settlement with purpose. Some were tending to their crops, others repairing small machines, while a few carried water to nearby gardens. Each movement seemed natural, yet deliberate, as if every human action was part of a greater plan. Hidden in the shadows, Xylox continued their observation. The alien had become fascinated with the humans' strange devices. They call them growth enhancers. Xylox muttered quietly to themselves. But their function, it is beyond simple science. Xylox had spent hours analyzing the devices. Each was a small, portable contraption combining metal, organic material, and unknown energy conduits. They emitted a soft glow and responded in real time to human proximity and attention. When humans touched them or whispered to the plants nearby, the devices seemed to react, accelerating plant growth in ways Xylox could not measure with standard instruments. Xylox watched a young human named Lyra kneel beside a row of seedlings. She placed her hands gently on the soil and whispered softly. Almost instantly, the tiny sprouts grew taller. Stretching toward her touch, Xylox's multiple eyes widened. Humans were not only interacting with the devices, they were communicating with them, and the devices were amplifying the humans' care and attention. Intrigued, Xylox decided to observe more closely and follow the humans as they moved deeper into the forest. The humans carried portable growth devices in small packs, placing them strategically near plants, rocks, or water sources. Every time the humans stopped, the device responded. It expanded slightly, pulsed with light, and released faint bursts of energy into the soil. The plants seemed to drink it in, growing faster and healthier than natural Zetherian flora. "What is this?" Xylox whispered. In Quarry science, growth required controlled conditions, precise nutrients, and exact energy input. Here, the human influence was subtle, almost emotional, yet more effective than any quarry method. It was as if the humans themselves were catalysts of life. Xylox followed the humans to a clearing where they were testing a new patch of soil. The ground looked dry and infertile, yet the humans were unbothered. Amara knelt beside a small growth device and tapped a few times, muttering under her breath. Then she began to hum a soft tune, a sound Xylox had never heard before. To the aliens' astonishment, the soil softened, tiny sprouts emerged, and the barren ground seemed to awaken. Xylox took careful notes. Emotional energy, attention, and intention all appeared to enhance the device's effectiveness. The humans, they are part of the technology, Xylox realized. Without them, it would be far less effective. Suddenly, a curious event caught Xylox's attention. One of the humans, Joran, approached a young sapling that had started to lean dangerously. He did not touch the plant but simply stood near it, observing. The sapling slowly straightened, guided by some invisible force. Xylox gasped. Humans did not just influence growth. They influenced balance, stability, and even behavior of living organisms around them. Xylox decided to experiment. The alien carefully adjusted their cloaking device to reveal a tiny portion of their body, just enough to interact subtly with the human tools without being noticed. They extended a thin tendril toward a device, applying a slight energy pulse similar to their own Quarry technology. The device immediately reacted, glowing brighter and emitting a small wave of energy into the surrounding soil. But when Xylox withdrew their tendril, the effect quickly faded. Humans were not just tools of the device, they were integral to its function. Xylox realized that human intention was energy. Their thoughts, emotions, and focus translated into measurable effects on the natural world through the device. It was a revelation. The Quarry had never encountered such a phenomenon. Technology and life could be linked to emotion, producing results that were both unpredictable and extraordinarily effective. Over the next few days, Xylox followed the humans through various tasks. They built irrigation channels, repaired shelters, and experimented with local plants. Everywhere they went, the devices responded to human care. Xylox noted something extraordinary. The devices were not merely tools, they were extensions of the humans' creativity and empathy. The humans' influence spread through nature in a way that no Quarry device or protocol could replicate. One afternoon, Xylox observed the humans discovering an unexpected problem. A large patch of soil had been overtaken by fast-growing Zetherian weeds, threatening the young crops. The humans paused and exchanged thoughtful words. Instead of clearing the weeds mechanically, They placed several devices at key points and began a coordinated plan. They hummed soft tunes, moved with careful gestures, and worked together seamlessly. Within hours, the weeds slowed, the crops thrived, and the soil appeared healthier than before. Xylox was stunned. They think with the environment, the alien whispered. Humans did not merely react, they collaborated with nature. Every action was both practical and adaptive, guided by observation, experience, and an instinctive understanding of life itself. The alien could not help but compare humans to the Quarii. Quarii logic emphasized precision, rules, and calculation. But humans were unpredictable, emotional, and adaptive. They improvised, experimented, and learned continuously. Where Quarii would fail in unfamiliar environments, humans thrived. It was not brute strength or advanced technology that gave humans their advantage. It was ingenuity, flexibility, and care. Xylox continued to shadow the humans, learning not just about the devices, but about human culture. They noticed rituals, small routines, and simple gestures that seemed trivial, but were essential to cooperation. Humans encouraged one another, celebrated small successes, and shared knowledge freely. Every interaction strengthened the group and indirectly enhanced the device's efficiency. During one evening, Xylox saw a remarkable sight. A young human child, Kale, wandered into the forest with a small growth device strapped to their back. Kale approached a struggling tree and whispered softly, gently placing their hands near the soil. The tree responded immediately, growing a few inches taller, leaves spreading wide. Xylox felt awe. Even children, guided by instinct and curiosity, could influence life and technology in ways the Quarii could not comprehend. Humans are extraordinary, Xylox muttered. The alien's thoughts raced. The Quarii had always believed intelligence was enough to dominate or adapt, but humans showed that intelligence combined with empathy, creativity, and collaboration created something far more powerful. A species that could influence nature itself simply by being present was not just intelligent, it was transformative. By the end of the week, Xylox had compiled a wealth of observations. The growth devices were remarkable, but the true source of their power was human intention. Emotion, focus, and cooperation amplified technology in ways no alien species had ever imagined. Humans could adapt to almost any environment, improving it as they went. Xylox felt both admiration and curiosity. There was much more to learn, and Xylox wanted to be closer to understand it fully. Xylox also realized another truth. Humans could be trusted to handle challenges responsibly. Where other species might exploit such technology recklessly, humans worked with care, patience, and foresight. They were not merely survivors, they were innovators, stewards, and problem solvers. As Xylox retreated to the safety of the forest canopy, they recorded their final observation for the day. Humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. Their tools were extensions of their minds and hearts. And together, they could achieve wonders that no purely logical species could. Xylox knew that the rest of the Quarii would struggle to understand this, but here on Zytheria, the alien could witness the truth firsthand. Humans were extraordinary, and somewhere deep inside, Xylox felt a stirring of hope. Perhaps one day, humans and Quarii could share knowledge, combining logic and creativity, precision and empathy. But for now, Xylox would simply watch and learn, marveling at a species that could change a planet not through force, but through care, ingenuity, and the simple, unstoppable power of being human. The morning on Zytheria began quietly, with mist rising from the forests and rivers glittering under the sun. Humans moved through the colony with steady determination. Today, they faced a new challenge. A storm had passed overnight, flooding parts of their agricultural zones and threatening the fragile crops that were essential to their survival. Xylox watched from a nearby ridge, hidden among the alien trees. The Quarii had always relied on rigid systems to deal with problems. Their solutions were predictable, precise, and calculated. But the humans, they were anything but predictable. The first signs of the flood were small pools forming between the crops. But soon, channels of water carved through the fields, washing away fragile seedlings. Amara and Joran moved quickly, coordinating with the rest of the settlers. "We need to divert the water," Amara called out. Her voice carried calm authority, yet it also inspired the others to think creatively. Xylox observed as humans combined their devices with natural solutions. They stacked rocks, tied vines to create barriers, and dug small trenches to redirect the water. The growth devices pulsed brightly, responding to each human touch, accelerating plant roots to anchor themselves more firmly in the soil. Seedlings that should have been uprooted held fast, and even the most delicate plants bent toward the safety of the barriers, as if sensing the humans' guidance. "This is remarkable," Xylox muttered. "Even quarry technology could not stabilize soil this quickly." Humans were acting like living engineers, using not just tools but intuition and collaboration. A sudden cry alerted everyone to a problem. Part of the field was still at risk, and a strong current threatened to sweep away newly sprouted plants. Joran grabbed a device and ran to the edge of the water, planting it strategically. He whispered instructions to the soil and the surrounding plants, a soft tone that seemed to carry meaning. Slowly, the current slowed near the device, water diverting gently into a new channel, saving the threatened crops. Xylox's multiple eyes widened. Humans were not just controlling the devices, they were guiding the environment itself. Their attention, focus, and care shaped outcomes that no alien logic could have predicted. The quarry eye approach would have involved constructing rigid canals and barriers, calculated to millimeter perfection. Any deviation from the plan could have led to failure. Humans, by contrast, improvised in real time, adjusting their strategy as the situation changed. Their creativity made them adaptable. Their teamwork made them effective, and their devices amplified their impact. The storm had left another challenge. A landslide on a nearby slope threatened the colony's water supply. Large rocks blocked natural streams, and soil erosion was accelerating. Amara quickly organized a team to stabilize the area. Some humans carried growth devices, while others worked with ropes, wooden beams, and vines. Together, they created a network of supports for the soil and rocks, carefully balancing nature and technology. Xylox watched closely. The humans' devices glowed as they worked, emitting pulses of energy that strengthened plant roots and encouraged rapid growth. The plants responded as if alive to human guidance. Within hours, the slope stabilized. Trees and shrubs bent toward the devices, roots intertwining and forming a natural barrier. The colony's water supply was safe. "This is incredible," Xylox whispered. In quarry eye science, such results would require complex engineering and countless calculations. Yet humans achieved them in mere hours, relying on observation, intuition, and creativity. Their power did not come from brute force, it came from ingenuity and empathy. Later that day, Xylox noticed something remarkable. One of the humans, Kale, the young child who had amazed them before, found a small sapling struggling near the edge of a creek. Kale knelt beside it, placing their hands on the soil and speaking softly. The sapling straightened, roots digging deeper, leaves stretching toward the sun. Xylox felt awe. Even children could influence nature in ways no alien could. As the humans continued their work, Xylox realized another truth. Humans inspired each other. Their collaboration was seamless. Each human acted with purpose, yet also observed and adapted to the actions of others. They communicated not only with words but with gestures, tones, and expressions, creating a harmony that extended even to the environment. The sun began to set, casting long shadows over the colony. The humans had managed to repair the damage caused by the storm and landslide. Crops were safe, slopes were stabilized, and the colony remained secure. Xylox watched as Amara gathered everyone around a small fire, smiling and encouraging them. Their calm leadership and genuine care strengthened the group's morale. Humans celebrated small successes, knowing that each step forward mattered. Xylox felt a stirring of emotion unfamiliar to quarry logic. admiration. Humans were not only adaptable, they were resilient, creative, and compassionate. Their success was not measured solely in survival, but in how they improved the world around them while helping each other. The alien knew this lesson could reshape Quarry thought. Intelligence alone was not enough. Logic, precision, and rules could achieve results. But creativity, empathy, and adaptability created something greater. Humans were living proof. That night, Xylox made careful notes, documenting not only the actions of the humans but the way their devices interacted with their attention and care. The alien recorded patterns of emotional energy, observation, and physical interaction that produced measurable effects on the environment. Every detail mattered. Xylox understood that humans were not just a species, they were a force of nature, capable of shaping a planet with ingenuity and heart. The next morning, Xylox followed the humans as they set out on another mission, exploring a distant ridge to expand the colony's agricultural territory. The terrain was rough, with uneven ground and rocky outcrops, yet humans moved confidently, analyzing the land and adjusting their tools to suit the environment. Growth devices were strategically placed along slopes and near water sources. Plants reacted immediately, roots stabilizing the ground, and vines creating natural pathways. Suddenly, the humans encountered another challenge. A series of narrow cliffs blocked their path. Transporting devices and equipment seemed nearly impossible. But the humans did not panic. They observed, discussed briefly, and began constructing a makeshift bridge using planks, vines, and flexible plant materials. Their devices pulsed gently, enhancing the strength of the nearby vegetation to provide support. Within hours, the bridge was complete, allowing humans and equipment to pass safely. Xylox's admiration grew. Humans combined observation, physical skill, and technology in a seamless way. Each problem was an opportunity for innovation, not a limitation. Where Quarry rules would have slowed progress or prevented action, humans adapted immediately, testing solutions, learning from mistakes, and improving outcomes. By midday, the humans reached the top of the ridge. They paused to survey the landscape below. Fields stretched out like green carpets, rivers sparkled, and forests swayed gently in the wind. Humans had transformed this harsh alien world into a place of growth and life, all through determination, intelligence, and care. Xylox followed from the shadows, deeply impressed. The humans' impact was undeniable. Their devices were remarkable. Yes, but the true source of power was human intention. Every action, every touch, every word had an effect. Humans were not merely interacting with the world, they were enhancing it. As the day ended, Xylox reflected on what they had learned. Humans were extraordinary, not because of technology alone, but because they combined logic with emotion, creativity with empathy. They could solve problems no rigid system could handle, and their influence extended beyond themselves to the environment and to each other. Xylox knew that this was a turning point. The Quarry could learn from humans, not only in technology, but in philosophy. There was a lesson here about adaptation, resilience, and the power of collaboration. Humans had shown that survival was not merely about rules and calculation. It was about creativity, care, and the ability to inspire change in the world around them. And so, Xylox retreated to a hidden vantage point, quietly observing the humans as they worked, rested, and planned their next steps. The alien understood one simple truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, leaders, and shapers of life itself. For the first time, Xylox felt hope. Perhaps one day, humans and Quarry could learn from one another, combining logic and creativity, rules and empathy. But for now, Xylox would watch, record, and marvel at a species that could change a planet, not through force, but through ingenuity, collaboration, and the unstoppable power of being human. The colony on Xytheria had grown stronger with every passing day. Fields stretched green and fertile across the landscape. Rivers flowed steadily, and the small towns of humans thrived in harmony with the planet's natural life. The settlers had learned to work together, improvise, and adapt, and Xylox had been their silent observer through every challenge. But today, a new crisis threatened the colony. A sudden geological tremor shook the ridge where the humans had been expanding their agricultural territory. Loose rocks tumbled down the slopes, threatening both people and crops. Water channels cracked, and smaller landslides formed, carrying soil and plants away. The humans had faced storms and floods before. But this was different. It was unpredictable, fast, and dangerous. Amara immediately called the team together. "We need to secure the ridge and protect the water supply," she said firmly. Her voice carried calm authority, but it also carried trust, inspiring everyone to act quickly. Humans grabbed growth devices, rope, tools, and plant reinforcements. Heading toward the trembling slopes, Xylox followed closely, fascinated. The alien knew the Quarry solution would have been to evacuate, measure, and calculate precise, stabilizing structures. Humans, however, did not hesitate. They assessed the situation quickly, improvising solutions in real time. They combined technology and nature, weaving roots, vines, and rocks with their growth devices to stabilize the soil. As the humans worked, Xylox observed the incredible synergy between mind, heart, and hand. Joran whispered to the soil near a small landslide, and the device pulsed. Roots grew rapidly, intertwining to form natural barriers. Amara coordinated the placement of rocks and beams, creating a scaffold that guided the flow of water safely away from the crops. Every action amplified the humans' influence on their surroundings. The tremors continued, testing the humans' resolve. Yet instead of panic, they remained focused. They adapted with every shift in the terrain, each human watching and supporting the others. The devices responded instantaneously to their attention and care, enhancing the stability of the soil and encouraging plant growth in areas that seemed impossible to save. Xylox's admiration grew. Humans were not merely solving problems, they were shaping the environment itself. Their creativity, resilience, and empathy transformed the ridge from a dangerous slope into a stable, thriving ecosystem in a matter of hours. Suddenly, a larger boulder dislodged from the top of the ridge, rolling toward a section of the colony below. Kale, the young child who had previously amazed Xylox, sprinted toward the boulder, carrying a small growth device. The child placed the device near the boulder and whispered instructions softly. Xylox watched in awe as the boulder slowed, roots and vines emerging from the device to wrap around it, guiding it safely past the human structures. The children's influence, combined with the technology, had a tangible effect on the environment. This is beyond comprehension," Xylox whispered. The quarry had always relied on logic and calculation to control outcomes, but humans operated on a different principle entirely. Observation, empathy, and adaptability gave them power that no rigid system could achieve. They were not just surviving, they were improving their world. By evening, the humans had stabilized the ridge, secured the water channels, and protected the crops. Exhausted but proud, they gathered together to rest. Xylox approached carefully, stepping from the shadows. For the first time, the humans noticed the alien. Amara looked up, her eyes steady but curious. "You've been watching us," she said softly, not with fear, but with interest. Xylox tilted their head, observing the humans carefully. "I am Xylox," they replied. "I study species. I have observed your work and your methods." Amara smiled gently. "Then you've seen how we do things," she said. "We care about this place. We care about each other. And we care about life." Xylox considered this. "Your intention affects your devices and the environment," the alien said slowly. "I have never seen anything like this. Your species is extraordinary." Joran stepped forward. "It's simple," he said. "We work together. We observe, adapt, and care. That's what helps us survive, and help the planet survive too." Xylox's eyes widened. It was the first time they had heard such a direct explanation. Humans had not only mastered survival, they had mastered collaboration and innovation. The alien realized that this knowledge could transform Quari's understanding of life, adaptation, and technology. Over the next few days, Xylox began to work openly with the humans. They shared observations of Zetheria's terrain and biology, while humans taught Xylox how the growth devices worked in harmony with intention and care. Together, they experimented with improving crop yields, stabilizing unstable slopes, and encouraging local plants to adapt to human influence. The collaboration was remarkable. Xylox had never experienced a partnership like this. Quari methods were rigid and precise, but humans approached challenges with creativity and empathy, producing results that Xylox could never have imagined. Where the Quari would have relied solely on calculations, humans combined logic, observation, and emotional intelligence, achieving far better outcomes. One morning, a problem arose that would test the humans and Xylox more than ever. A series of unexpected quakes threatened to destabilize the main settlement. Buildings, water channels, and crops were at risk. Humans quickly organized teams, placing growth devices strategically and reinforcing structures with natural materials. Xylox assisted, offering insight into the terrain and the behavior of the planet's soil. The quake struck, and the humans worked tirelessly. Their devices pulsed, soil and plant life responding to their attention. Bridges of roots and vines formed across cracks. Water channels shifted without flooding, and buildings held firm. Every human movement mattered. Every cooperative decision amplified the effect of the devices. Xylox watched in awe as humans turned a potential disaster into a demonstration of resilience and ingenuity. By the evening, the settlement was safe. Humans were tired but triumphant. They had faced nature's challenge and prevailed, not through force or brute strength, but through teamwork, creativity, and care. Xylox felt a deep respect for the species they had studied so intently. Humans were more than survivors. They were leaders, innovators, and stewards of life. Amara gathered the team around the central fire. She looked at Xylox, who had become part observer, part collaborator. "You've seen what we do," she said. "You've seen how we solve problems and care for this place. You understand that it's not just the devices, it's how we work together." Xylox nodded. "I understand," they replied. "Humans are extraordinary. Your species combines intelligence, empathy, and creativity. You do not merely survive, you improve your world. I have learned more from you than I ever imagined possible." Joran grinned. "Then maybe it's time we share what we know," he said. "We can learn from each other. Together, we can make this planet thrive even more." Over the following weeks, humans and Xylox continued to collaborate. Xylox shared knowledge of Zetheria's ecosystems, while humans taught the alien about the devices and the unique way humans enhanced them with attention and care. The result was remarkable. The colony flourished, new plant species thrived, and even the local wildlife became more balanced with human activity. Xylox recorded their final observation. Humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were a force of nature. Their tools responded to their care, their minds shaped their world, and their hearts inspired life. Where logic and calculation alone could not succeed, humans could thrive. Where rigid systems failed, creativity and collaboration created stability. In the quiet moments, Xylox looked at the humans resting under alien skies. They saw pride, joy, and determination shining in the settlers' faces. The alien felt a warmth they had never experienced, a combination of respect, hope, and admiration. Perhaps one day, Xylox thought, our worlds can learn from each other. Logic and creativity, calculation, and empathy. Together, we could accomplish things neither of our species could achieve alone. And as the twin suns set over Zetheria, humans and Xylox stood side by side, united not by species, but by purpose. Together, they had shown that ingenuity, care, and cooperation could overcome any challenge. The planet thrived, the colony prospered, and humans had once again proven that they were extraordinary. able to shape worlds, solve problems, and inspire life itself. For Xylox, the lesson was clear. Humans were not just remarkable because of their technology or strength, but because of their hearts, minds, and relentless curiosity. Humanity had once again earned its place as a force to be reckoned with among the stars, and on Zytheria, under the glow of alien moons. The humans continued to build, grow, and explore proof that with ingenuity, empathy, and determination, nothing could stop them from thriving anywhere in the galaxy.